Hey gang, well, welcome back. I'm Josh, and we are going through the CDL permit. Well, technically it's just the Montana Commercial Driver License Manual, but specifically I'm studying for the CDL, so we're going through this bad boy like 30 minutes at a time, and we're kind of study buddies, so you're going along. There were no questions from last video. This is video number 4. You should see it in the title, number 4. And so there weren't any questions for me to cover up front. Make sure though that you're taking the time to look in the description box in my pants down there, because there's going to be a link to finding the Montana CDL manual online. There's going to be a link to a video for the pre-trip inspection and a walkthrough of all of the parts of your combination vehicle for Class A by Wil-Trans trainer, or a Wil-Trans instructor, Ruby, I believe her name is. There's going to be a link to a place where you can take some practice tests for your CDL permit, and it has like a whole list of tests that you can take. There's hazmat, there's pre-trip, there's road test, and it's just questions. It can't hurt. It's good information. And I'm also going to go through some of them in a video way down the line, but for now we're just taking this. I mean, we're literally like, we're just plugging away, okay? Okay, so the last thing that we covered was the railroad stuff in the last video. If you missed that, go back and check it out. I don't know if I'm helping you. I think this is helping me, and I'm hoping it helps you. I'm a rookie. I'm just learning this myself, so if you find something that's not correct, comment, message me, let me know, because I want to know the right stuff too. And as always, if you're coming across this and it's not somewhere around the end of 2016, I'm starting my apprenticeship January 26th, 2016.
December 26th.
Excuse me, December 26th, 2016. So if you guys come across this at some point in the future and you're starting out and you need help, I've had a lot of help. People have been amazing to me, and I would love to pay it forward. If there's any questions that I can answer, please message me. I will be more than happy to help in any way that I can. Having said that, let's move forward. Okay, so the next part that we're looking at, and I made a little check mark. Where are we? We're right here, okay? And this is technically, in case you're trying to follow along in your book, this is technically 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is page 5. We're not really getting through it quickly because it's kind of dense. And I talk a lot. I'm rambles. In fact, Maggie calls me rambles. Maggie's my girlfriend. She's over there. You may see her in future videos. You may not. I don't know. But, okay. This is our family channel, so that's why I'm referencing her. You also may hear a pug. His name's Marvin. He's a jerk face. Did I say your name? Yeah, I did. Okay. Suspended or revoked drivers. If your privilege to operate a vehicle is currently suspended, revoked, or canceled in any other state, you may be ineligible to be licensed to drive in Montana. Since 1994, the state of Montana has linked to 2 nationwide systems that are utilized to detect individuals who are suspended, revoked, disqualified, or denied a license to drive in another state. These links are called the Commercial Driver License Information System, CDLIS, and Problem Driver Pointer Systems, PDPS. When you apply for or renew a driver license, the driver examiner will access this computerized system in order to see if you are ineligible due to action in another state. If you are ineligible, the system will list the state or states where the action exists. The Motor Vehicle Division will obtain your driving status from those states. If your status is suspended, revoked, or otherwise ineligible, Montana will not allow you to obtain or renew a license until the suspension or revocation. Revocation? Did I say that right? Revocation?
Sure.
I don't know. Sure, Jan. Is cleared and the driver status is returned to eligible. Safety awareness. Montana state law with respect to Montana Code annotated 61-8-346 requires that all non-emergency vehicles in the presence of an emergency vehicle making use of audio and visual signals yield the right-of-way and shall immediately drive to a position parallel and as close as possible to the right-hand edge or curb of the road. On highways with a posted speed limit of 50 miles per hour or more, vehicles in a lane directly next to a stationary emergency or police vehicle displaying emergency signals must slow down to a speed of at least 20 miles below the posted speed limit when possible. This is on the test. Keep a note of this. When possible, should switch to a lane farther away from the lane that the stationary vehicle is in. So, if they're coming through and it's an ambulance or a cop and their lights and their sounds are on, you need to get over to the right lane as far as possible. If there's a cop stopped or an ambulance or a fire, whatever stopped, you need to drop 20 miles down and move over to the left if you can if they're on the right. Or if they're on the left, get over to the right as far as you can because you don't want to hit them. They're already trying to help someone. Don't make it worse. That's basically how I understand it. Proof of authorized presence, identity, and residence. All applicants for a Montana commercial driver license must provide the required documents from each of the following 3 categories. For a current list of acceptable documents, visit dojmt.gov/driving and click Required Documents. Proof of authorized presence. Applicants for a Montana commercial driver license must provide proof that their presence in the United States is authorized under federal law. That is, they must prove that they are either a U.S. citizen or legally authorized to be in the U.S. A driver license issued to a person who is a foreign national and whose presence in the U.S. is temporarily authorized must expire no later than the expiration date of the official document issued to the person by the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS. Below is a list of acceptable documentation. A certified copy of a birth certificate issued by a U.S. jurisdiction. To obtain a certified copy of your birth certificate, contact vitalcheck.com, or for Montana birth certificates, the Office of Vital Statistics. Certification from the U.S. Department of State or a U.S. Embassy of the birth abroad of a U.S. citizen. Consular Report of Birth Abroad, Form FS-240, or Certification of Report of Birth, Form DS-1350. A valid unexpired passport issued by the U.S. Department of State. A valid unexpired passport card issued by the U.S. passport card issued by the U.S. Department of State. A valid unexpired passport issued by a jurisdiction other than the U.S. with an attached U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS, record of arrival and departure, Form I-94, same name with an unexpired endorsement of the non-immigrant status, or an unexpired permanent resident I-551 stamp. A valid unexpired certificate of naturalization. A valid unexpired certificate of citizenship. A valid unexpired Northern Mariana card with a Northern Mariana imprinted instead of permanent resident. Whoa, my contacts are getting dry. A valid unexpired U.S. citizen identification card. A valid unexpired permanent resident card. A valid unexpired temporary resident identification card. A valid unexpired U.S. reentry permit. A valid unexpired refugee travel document, a valid unexpired employment authorization card, a valid unexpired record of arrival and departure stamped refugee without a valid passport but stamped refugee with a photo affixed, a digital identification card issued to the applicant by a federally recognized Native American tribe whose reservation is located in Montana that contains a digitized image of the applicant's date of birth and tribal enrollment number. That's cool. Proof of identity. If you are applying for a Montana ID card or a commercial driver license, you will need to bring in the following document to prove full legal name, date of birth, and Montana residence. Proof of full legal name and date of birth. You must provide 2 documents, either 2 primary documents or 1 primary and 1 secondary document listed to an examiner at a Montana driver license station to show proof of full legal name and date of birth. So for me, in proof of authorized presence, my birth certificate. I have a copy of it, so that's what I'll be bringing. For the second part, primary documents can include a color photo driver license or identification card not expired for more than 4 years, issued by a U.S. or Canadian jurisdiction. Certified birth certificate issued by a U.S. or Canadian jurisdiction. Note, a certified birth certificate typically has the registrar's unique seal, a raised, embossed, impressed, or multicolored stamp, the registrar's signature, and the date of the certificate, and the date the certificate was filed with the registrar's office. A certification from the U.S. Department of State or a U.S. Embassy of the birth abroad of a U.S. citizen. A digital identification card issued to the applicant by a federally recognized Indian tribe whose reservation is located in Montana that contains the applicant's digitized image, date of birth, and tribal enrollment number. An unexpired military identification card issued by the U.S. Department of Defense, active duty, reserve, retired personnel, or dependent of active duty personnel that contains a color photo or a digitized image of the applicant and the applicant's date of birth. A valid unexpired passport issued by the U.S. Department of State or the Canadian government. A valid unexpired passport card, which is the same. A valid unexpired passport issued by the jurisdiction other than the U.S. or Canada, and either... Oh, this is basically if you're from anywhere else but Canada. Oh, okay. All of that is just really specific, like the Mariana stuff that I just read. It's weird that it repeats it. Anyway, secondary documents can include a second primary document, an original U.S. Social Security card or Canadian Social Insurance card, a certified copy of a marriage certificate or a license issued by a government jurisdiction, a U.S. or Canadian driver license or identification card that has been expired for more than 1 year, but not more than 5 years. And then it gets into the vague stuff. So basically, if you're the average Joe, you're going to have a Social Security card, your birth certificate, and a driver's license that ideally is not expired for more than a couple of years. Now the third thing, proof of Montana residence. Upon original application for a commercial driver license, an applicant must present evidence of the applicant's Montana residence address. If the applicant does not receive mail at the residence or street address, a Montana post office box or mailing address also must be provided. The department accepts the following documents as evidence for a Montana residence address, provided the document shows the applicant's name and Montana residence address as it appears on the driver license application. Bring in one of the following documents to prove your residential address. Any primary or secondary document as listed in Administrative Rules of Montana, a U.S. or Montana income tax return for the previous year, a Montana voter registration card, a receipt for personal or real property taxes paid within the last year to the state of Montana or a Montana county, a current automobile or life insurance policy or statement, a certified copy of school records issued by the school the applicant is attending or attended within 4 months of the application, which is weird because you can only be 18 for the intrastate. Well, I guess so then if you just graduated high school, you could get the intrastate license, but not your interstate. A written statement from the applicant's parent, guardian, or adult child that the applicant resides at the same address as the parent, guardian, or adult child, along with a copy of a document permitted under this rule that shows the Montana residential address of the applicant's parent, guardian, or adult child. The original copy of a rental agreement or rent payment receipt signed by the landlord or rental agent that includes the applicant's name and residential address. Home mortgage or equity loan papers showing the applicant's name and residential address. A rural address will be accepted when there is no other physical address. Any of the following dated or issued not more than 4 months prior to application. A payroll check or payroll check stub. A bank statement, a utility bill or utility hookup order, canceled mail addressed to the applicant. If the applicant is homeless, a descriptive address of the location where the applicant actually resides. Example, under the west end under the west end of the East Street Bridge. The applicant must also provide a separate mailing address and present a written statement from a social service agency on the agency's letterhead, verifying the applicant's homeless status and the descriptive address given by the applicant.
I didn't hear it.
Proof of Montana residence. If the applicant is homeless, a descriptive address of the location where the applicant actually resides. Example, under the west end of the East Street Bridge. The applicant must also provide a separate mailing address and present a statement from a social service agency on the agency's letterhead, verifying the applicant's homeless status and the descriptive address given by the applicant.
I wonder if that's how it is in California, because the homeless people in Huntington Beach would be screwed. They go everywhere.
Right?
They don't just like have a corner.
Voter registration. Anyone wishing to register to vote may do so at any Montana driver license office. The voter registration form will be forwarded to the proper election administrator, and a voter registration card will be provided to the applicant by mail. Anyone who did not vote in the last presidential election should fill out a...
What?
Anyone who did not vote in the last presidential election should fill out a voter registration card.
Do not say anything political right now.
My tongue should be bleeding right now, I'm just saying. Donate life. There are several reasons to be an organ donor, some of which are to save another's life, to improve the life of someone, and or to contribute to the advancement of medical science. Log on to www.donatelifetoday.com for more information and to register to become a donor. You may also request to have organ donor indicated on your driver license for when you are in the driver exam station. Oh, when you are. Donating life pamphlets are available at all exam stations, or you can call 877-275-5269. Living will. If you're 18 or older, you may choose to have your driver license or ID indicate that you have a living will. This driver manual paraphrases Montana's motor vehicle laws and is not intended to be a complete legal reference. Courts go by the actual language of the Montana Code annotated, not this text. Further information may be obtained from a public library, law enforcement agency, or driver examiner. The website at www.dojmt.gov/driving, or the Motor Vehicle Division at P.O. Box 201430, Helena, Montana 59620-1430, or 866-450-8034. Goodness. That brings us to the actual this, which is Maggie. Maggie was like, that's what you need to actually be covering. And I'm like, I know that, but I wanted to cover the other stuff because they ask you questions. I guess we'll fit this part into our little...
I feel like that should be the next video.
Well, it's just the sex slave thing. So it's not like we're gonna move on, but you know. Marvin, do not start with Pedro right now. Oh, good boy. Yeah, get that. Okay, so we've got a few extra minutes in this video, so I want to cover one page that is after that initial page. Human trafficking is modern-day slavery. Traffickers use force, fraud, and coercion to control their victims. Any minor engaged in commercial sex is a victim of human trafficking. Trafficking can occur in many locations, including truck stops, restaurants, rest areas, brothels, strip clubs, private homes, etc. Truckers are the eyes and the ears of our nation's highways. If you see a minor working any of these areas or suspect pimp control, Jesus. Call the national hotline and report your tip. For U.S., it's 888-3737-888. For Canada, it's 800-222-TIPS. For law enforcement to open an investigation on your tips, they need actionable information. Specific tips helpful when reporting to the hotline would include description of cars, make, model, color, license plate number, etc., and people, height, weight, hair color, eye color, age. Take a picture if you can. Specific times and dates. When did you see the event in question take place? What day was it? Addresses and locations where suspicious activity took place. Trafficking red flags to look for. Lack of knowledge of their community or whereabouts. Not in control of own identification documents, ID, passport. Restricted or controlled communication. Not allowed to speak for self. Demeanor. Fear, anxiety, depression, submissive, tense, nervous. Questions to ask. Are you being paid? Are you being watched or followed? Are you free to leave, come and go as you please? Are you physically or sexually abused? Are you or your family threatened? What is the nature of the threats? You can also report by email. Report at polarisproject.org. Report at polarisproject.org. Warning. Please do not approach traffickers. Call the hotline and they will call the FBI and local police to deal with them and rescue the victims. Approaching traffickers is not only dangerous for you and their victims, but could lead to problems in the eventual prosecution of traffickers. Go to www.truckersagainsttrafficking.org for more information. This is something that I think is important enough for me to actually read it. It's www.truckersaginstrafficking.org. Anything to do with minors, there's something like that going on at a truck stop. In my opinion, if you see that and you don't do anything, you might as well be agreeing with it. It's like seeing someone kick a dog. If you let that happen and you just watch, you're just as bad as the person doing it because you're allowing it to continue and you're not doing something to stop it. And when it comes to kids and animals, that's my heart. So,
well, let's be honest. If someone's really under pimp control and scared for their lives, they're not going to answer those dumb questions.
No, they're totally not. You're not going to be able to ask those, are you being sexually abused?
To, like, approach them, I thought.
Well, you're not supposed to approach them, but here's the deal. Those kids are being sent to knock on truckers' doors for business. So if a young girl or a young boy comes to your truck and comes knocking, try and get a picture of him. Talk to him for a minute or two. See if you can see what you can get out of them, because we all know when, like, somebody might be looking for some action or whatever, and she might be of age, but if she doesn't look like she's of age, prostitution isn't legal in most states. So even if you're like, well, I don't want to get her in trouble, what if that's a minor? What if she's in trouble? You know what I mean? That could be your sister, that could be your mother, that could be your wife, that could be your kid. Like, you don't know.
Soapbox.
Huh?
Rant over.
No, I'm just saying. It's important, so, you know, if we can do something to help, I think we should. Also, if you see a loose stray dog, pick them up too, because that's my other soapbox. Anyway. this was part 4. We didn't have any questions, so there won't be any questions at the start of part 5. And as always, make sure to, number 1, if you're enjoying these, go ahead and subscribe, because there's going to be more coming. And if there's anything that I covered that you didn't agree with or didn't make sense to you or whatever, please feel free to leave a question or comment or whatever, because if I said it wrong in the video, I'm probably understanding it incorrectly. But even if I wasn't wrong, we can open a dialogue and talk about this, and it'll help both of us. I guarantee talking about stuff is only going to help us. And the one thing that I've learned from the people that I do know in this industry is it's really helpful to have a network of people that you can call, and maybe they might not know the answer, but they might know someone who does. And we're all here to do this job, and it's not really an easy one, so all the help that we can get can only be a good thing. So, if you're watching this in the future, and it's well past 12/9 of 2016, message me if there's anything I can do to help you. And I appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to check in my pants for the links that I already mentioned. And we'll probably see you tomorrow. I think I'm done for tonight because my contacts are getting so dry that it's like hard to read. And Maggie looks like she's getting tired. You getting tired, babe? She doesn't feel good. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys are doing good. Keep studying. We can do this. Much love.